Welcome, dear dreamer, to Sleep with Stories. I'm so grateful that you've joined us tonight, here in the sanctuary where words become a lullaby and stories carry you softly toward rest. This is your time to breathe deeply, to lay down the burdens of the day, and to step into a world of wonder woven just for you. As you make yourself comfortable, allow your body to sink into the quiet safety of your bed. Let the blankets wrap around you like a gentle embrace, and let each breath carry you deeper into calm. Inhale slowly, as though gathering in peace, and exhale with a sigh, releasing all that you no longer wish to hold. Tonight, we are not only telling a story, we are opening a door into a place where tranquility itself is alive. Imagine, if you will, an empire not built on conquest alone, but on something far more enduring, a vast and unseen tranquility, a profound calm woven into the very stone and steel, underpinning every grand arch and quiet street. In this eternal city, whispers of an ancient and pervasive magic drift through the air like a lullaby sung by history itself. It is here that we find you, August Finch, 28 years old, a scholar with nimble fingers and observant gray eyes, often framed by round spectacles. Tonight, your path leads you into the Alexandrian Archive Complex, a cathedral of knowledge where time itself seems to pause. The moment you step inside, the air welcomes you with the warm, resinous scent of aged papyrus and sacred beeswax, wrapping gently around your restless mind. Towering shelves stretch upward, lined with scrolls and tomes that hum faintly with residual energies, casting a soft, ethereal glow across the vast reading halls. Among these shelves waits Emberlyn Stone, the archivist, whose 87 winters have only deepened the serenity etched upon her features. Her silver hair, tied neatly in a bun, seems to shimmer faintly in the filtered light. Her gnarled hands, graceful despite their age, gesture toward a collection of intricately bound volumes. And with a voice that flows like water, she tells you that each scroll is not merely text, but a sigh, a dream, a fleeting moment of peace, a memory of contentment from centuries past, captured and preserved in parchment. As you reach for one such scroll, unassuming and humble, your touch awakens something within it and within you. The ink shimmers, the silence deepens, and the air itself seems to shift, carrying hints of rain and night-blooming jasmine. What you're about to discover is not simply history, but the memory of peace itself. So close your eyes, dear listener. Let the hush of the archive surround you. Tonight, we walk with August Finch into the eternal city's heart of quiet magic. If you enjoy these journeys, remember to like this video, subscribe to Sleep with Stories, and ring the little bell so you'll never miss our next tale. For now, let the dream unfold. You, August, let the vastness of Rome's subtle magic, a profound, enduring calm, begin to envelop you. The air in the Alexandrian Archive Complex, thick with the scent of aged papyrus and sacred beeswax, settled around you like a gentle cloak, muting the distant sounds of the city. Emberlyn, her serene countenance illuminated by the ethereal glow filtering through the high windows, gestured again towards the collection of intricately bound volumes. Each scroll, Emberlyn murmured, her voice a soft current in the quiet expanse of the archive, is a single profound sigh drawn from the Ethereum. A dream, a fleeting thought of peace, a moment of profound contentment experienced by someone centuries ago, now woven into these fibers. Your nimble fingers, accustomed to the delicate dance across brittle parchment, reached out, not for the most ancient or grandest, but for a simple, unassuming scroll near the bottom of the stack. Its parchment felt smooth and cool beneath your touch, a faint warmth blooming where your skin met its surface. As you carefully unrolled it, a subtle hum resonated, not in your ears, but deep within your chest, a vibration that resonated with your own quiet curiosity. The ink, a rich, dark sepia, seemed to shimmer faintly, depicting no grand historical event or philosophical treatise, but rather a series of abstract, flowing lines like currents of water or patterns of breath. You leaned closer, your gray eyes, usually so sharp and analytical, softening as they traced the ancient script. The room, already quiet, seemed to recede further, the very concept of sound dissolving into a gentle, all-encompassing hush. The scent of papyrus deepened, becoming more complex, carrying faint undertones of distant rain and blooming night jasmine. It wasn't merely a smell, you realized, but an echo of the environments in which these tranquil dreams were once dreamt. As you focused, the abstract lines on the scroll began to shift, to subtly rearrange themselves in your mind's eye. It was like watching ripples spread across a still pond, each wave expanding, intertwining with the next. You felt a quiet invasion, not intrusive, but like a soft tide washing over your consciousness. Images began to form, not sharp or defined, but impressionistic, like memories just beyond the veil of waking. You saw the gentle slope of a sun-drenched hill, felt the soft breeze across your face, heard the distant, melodic chime of bells carried on the wind. There was a profound sense of being, of utter peace, of the world settling into a perfect, quiet harmony. It was a dream, certainly, but not your dream. It was a fragment, a whisper from the Ethereum, the collective unconscious of a Roman citizen long since turned to dust, whose final profound moment of calm had been drawn into this very scroll. You felt their contentment, their quiet joy, their absolute surrender to the moment. It was ephemeral, yet intensely real, leaving behind a subtle resonance in your own mind, like the lingering scent of a rare flower. Emberlyn, observing your silent absorption, nodded almost imperceptibly. "The aqueducts, August," she said, her voice now seeming to emerge from the very air around you, "do not merely carry water from distant springs. They carry the very essence of tranquility, gathered from those untouched, enchanted places." Murmur of the water flowing tirelessly into the eternal city is a constant lullaby, a thread of the Ethereum woven into the very fabric of our urban existence. You lifted your gaze from the scroll, a new understanding dawning in your observant eyes. The vastness of Rome, its very order and daily rhythms, were indeed maintained by unseen forces. The aqueducts, monumental feats of engineering, were also colossal conduits of peace, channeling not just physical sustenance, but spiritual calm into the heart of the empire. Over the next few weeks, the Alexandrian archive became your sanctuary. You spent your days immersed in the dream scrolls, gently unraveling their delicate bindings, feeling the subtle energies flow into you. Each scroll offered a new facet of the Ethereum, the deep. Satisfying calm of a craftsman finishing a masterpiece under the afternoon sun, the quiet joy of a mother watching her children sleep, the profound sense of belonging felt by a soldier gazing at the stars from a distant frontier post. You learned to differentiate the distinct resonance of each dream echo, recognizing the subtle variations in their tranquil frequencies. Your mind, once prone to the rapid processing of academic thought, slowed, becoming more receptive, more permeable to these ancient whispers. The scholars and archivists around you, busy with their own pursuits, moved with an almost dreamlike quietness. The occasional rustle of parchment, the soft scrape of a stylus, the distant, muffled sounds from the bustling streets outside, all were absorbed into the archive's pervasive calm, like stones dropped into a deep well. You found yourself meditating on the concept Emberlyn had introduced, the Ethereum as the true foundation of Rome's enduring stability. It wasn't just the legions or the laws, but this unseen collective wellspring of peace that bound the empire together. One quiet afternoon, as the setting sun painted the archive's high windows in hues of rose and gold, Emberlyn approached you. "Your journey, August," she began, her voice as soft as the shifting light, "has only just begun. The Ethereum is not contained within these walls, though its deepest currents converge here. It permeates the very stone, the very air of the empire. To truly perceive its breadth, you must wander. She spoke of the subtle enchantments woven into the public spaces, the quiet magic embedded in daily rituals. Your path, she suggested, would lead you to Rome itself, the heart from which these tranquil currents emanated and converged. You nodded, a profound sense of anticipation, not for adventure, but for quiet discovery, stirring within you. The journey from Alexandria to Rome was itself an exercise in quiet contemplation. You chose a merchant vessel not for speed, but for its unhurried pace. Its rhythmic creaking and the gentle rocking of the waves a continuous lullaby. Days blurred into weeks as you sailed across the Mediterranean, the vast, shimmering expanse of water mirroring the vastness of the Ethereum you sought to understand. The sea air, crisp and clean, carried the distant scent of salt and earth, clearing your mind further, preparing it for the subtle perceptions that awaited you. You spent hours on deck, watching the distant coastline, a thin, hazy line separating the known from the unknown, and listening to the soft murmur of the waves against the hull, each ripple a tiny, hypnotic wave of oblivion washing over your thoughts. When your vessel finally docked at Ostia, the port of Rome, the transition was surprisingly gentle. The clamor of the docks, the shouts of porters, and the creak of rigging seemed muted, soft, as if the very air absorbed the harsher edges of sound. From Ostia, you took a quiet, shaded road towards the capital, preferring to walk, to feel the ancient earth beneath your sandals, to breathe in the scents of cypress and pine that lined the path. Entering Rome was not the overwhelming sensory assault you might have expected. The city, vast and bustling, was imbued with an underlying serenity. You walked along the Via Sacra, past grand temples and public forums, yet the clamor of vendors and the chatter of citizens became a soft, ambient murmur, a backdrop to the more profound sounds of the city, the distant trickle of a fountain, the gentle cooing of doves on a temple roof, the soft whisper of wind through ancient arches. The scent of exotic spices from market stalls, usually a sharp, invigorating assault, transformed into a calming mist, each fragrance mingling into a soothing tapestry of aroma. You found simple lodgings in a quiet district near the Campus Martis. Away from the immediate bustle of the Forum, your days became a pilgrimage of subtle observation. You wandered through the labyrinthine streets, your footsteps light, your gaze attuned to the unseen. One afternoon, you found yourself drawn to the vast, communal embrace of the Baths of Caracalla. The sheer scale of the structure was awe-inspiring, yet it radiated an almost domestic tranquility. Inside, the steam didn't just cleanse the body. It gently cleared the mind. In the tepidarium, the warm, humid air felt like a soft caress, loosening the knots of thought. In the frigidarium, the cool, clear water invited complete surrender. As you immersed yourself, the ripples your movements created in the frigidarium felt like tiny waves of oblivion, washing away every last trace of conscious thought, leaving behind a state of serene emptiness. The muted laughter, the splashing, the soft conversations of other bathers all blended into a harmonious hum, a sonic balm for the soul. You began to notice other subtle threads of this pervasive calm. In a quiet alleyway off the bustling Via Lata, you stumbled upon a small, unassuming workshop. A faint, ethereal glow emanated from within, a soft, pulsating luminescence. Peeking through the open doorway, you saw Silas, a reclusive artisan known for crafting talismans to ensure peaceful slumber. He was a man of quiet concentration, his hands gnarled and stained with mineral dust, moving with delicate precision over small, polished stones. The workshop was filled with the soft, warm light of enchanted moonstone, each talisman a tiny reservoir of serenity. Silas hummed a low, tuneless melody as he worked, a sound that seemed to resonate with the stones themselves, infusing them with a gentle, hypnotic energy. The air in the workshop was thick with the scent of lavender and ancient cedar, a comforting aroma that seemed to wrap around you even from the street. You watched him for a long time, unnoticed, feeling the quiet, potent magic of his craft, a magic designed solely for rest and tranquility. The very act of watching felt like a deep breath, an unconscious calming of your own spirit. Days later, wandering through the artisan quarter of Trastevere, across the Pons Aemilius, you discovered another subtle source of the Ethereum's quiet power. Tucked away on a narrow, cobbled lane near the bustling Porta Portici market was the humble pottery workshop of River Thorn. The air here was earthy, redolent with the scent of damp clay and the faint, sweet smell of wood smoke from a distant kiln. River, a quiet man with strong, practiced hands, worked his wheel with an almost meditative grace. As his hands shaped the spinning clay, you noticed a faint, almost imperceptible hum emanating from the vessels themselves. It wasn't a sound audible to the ear, but a gentle vibration that resonated through the soles of your feet, up through your body, and into your chest. These weren't just ordinary clay pots. They hummed with ancient, sleep-inducing incantations passed down through generations of quiet craft. River's movements were economical, almost ritualistic, each touch imbuing the clay with a deeper sense of peace. You found yourself mesmerized, the rhythmic spinning of the wheel and the silent hum of the clay inducing a profound stillness within you. A quiet surrender to the simple beauty of creation imbued with ancient purpose. Your journey culminated inevitably at the Reverie Coliseum. You approached it at dusk as the last vestiges of daylight bled from the sky, and the city lights began to twinkle like scattered embers. The immense stone structure, usually associated with thunderous roars and violent spectacles, radiated an almost palpable, deep, and resonant calm. Its massive arches and concentric tiers, stripped of their gladiatorial history in this reimagined Rome, were designed to subtly collect and amplify the collective and soothing dream echoes of past generations. You ascended the ancient steps, the stone cold beneath your touch, and found a quiet alcove high in the upper tiers. Below, the vast arena floor was empty, save for the soft shadows that gathered in its hollows. As twilight deepened, the Colosseum began to hum, a deep, resonant chord that seemed to emanate from the very stone itself. It was the sound of a monumental lullaby, sung by countless generations who had walked these streets, lived their lives, and dreamt their peaceful dreams within the empire's embrace. It was the amplified collective sighs of those past lives, a wave of profound tranquility washing over the city. You closed your eyes, letting the pervasive calm of the Colosseum envelop you. The whispers of the Ethereum, once so elusive, now seemed to surge around you, through you. The dream scrolls had opened your mind. The aqueducts had shown you the flow. The artisans had revealed the focused intention. And now the Colosseum offered the grand symphony of collective peace. You felt the vastness of the empire, its order, its daily rhythms, not as a rigid structure of power, but as a living, breathing organism subtly maintained by these unseen forces, these forgotten enchantments. Every quiet street, every flowing fountain, every crafted object, every shared moment of peace contributed to this grand, overarching state of profound, enduring calm. As the hum of the Reverie Coliseum deepened around you, you realized your journey had revealed more than just the existence of the Ethereum. It had shown you its profound influence, its gentle hand in shaping the very consciousness of a civilization. The tranquility you sought was not merely a concept, but a tangible, pervasive force, woven into the very fabric of Roman life. You understood now, with an almost dizzying clarity, that this was only the beginning of truly comprehending how such a vast and complex empire could sustain itself not through overt force, but through an underlying, enduring peace. Your next steps would need to take you deeper into the mechanisms of this extraordinary, quiet enchantment. The hum of the Reverie Colosseum, a monumental lullaby sung by stone, continued to envelop you. The profound understanding that had settled within you felt less like a discovery and more like a gentle awakening. The Ethereum was not merely an ethereal concept, a shared dream space, but an active, integral force woven into the very architecture and daily rhythms of this vast empire. Your journey, however, had merely unveiled the surface of this truth. The whispered questions now were, how is this tranquility maintained? What were the precise mechanisms, the forgotten enchantments, that allowed such an enduring state of calm to permeate Roman life? You spent the following days in quiet contemplation, allowing the impressions from the Colosseum and your previous encounters to settle. Rome itself became your classroom, its every street and structure a lesson waiting to be deciphered. You revisited places you had observed before, now with a refined perception, seeking the deeper currents beneath the surface. One morning, you found yourself drawn once more to the aqueducts, those colossal veins of stone that snaked across the Roman Campagna, carrying water from distant, enchanted springs. Your earlier understanding had been merely conceptual. Now, you sought to feel the how. You followed the Aqua Claudia, walking along its shaded path, the sun dappling through the cypress trees. The water within the channels, normally a simple flow, now seemed to possess a subtle luminescence, a faint internal glow that pulsed gently. As you placed a hand on the cool, moss-covered stone of the conduit, you felt a faint vibration, a soft, continuous thrum that resonated not with the movement of water, but with an underlying energetic current. Emberlin's words echoed in your mind. They carry the very essence of tranquility. You realize now that the springs themselves, nestled deep within ancient forests or emerging from hidden grottos, were not merely sources of pure water, but conduits to the earth's own calm, places where the Ethereum naturally coalesced. The water, passing through these serene loci, became imbued with a specific quality of peace, like a liquid memory of stillness. The architects of Rome, in their monumental wisdom, had not simply engineered a system for physical hydration, but for spiritual nourishment. The very gradients and curves of the aqueducts you mused were designed not only for efficient water flow, but also to maintain the harmonic resonance of this imbued tranquility, preventing its dissipation. The constant soft murmur of the water, a sound so pervasive in Rome, was not just a trickling stream, but a continuous low-frequency lullaby broadcast across the city by these ancient arteries. It was a sound so subtle, so interwoven with the urban fabric, that it was unconsciously absorbed, a gentle hum beneath the din of daily life, fostering a state of widespread, unacknowledged calm. You spent hours sitting by the aqueduct, listening to the water's unending song, feeling its gentle vibration seep into your bones, a profound sense of quietude settling deep within you. Your expanded perception led you to other quiet corners of the city, places where the mechanisms of the Ethereum were at play in more domestic, intimate ways. You began to notice the small, often unseen, fountains in the peristyle courtyards of Roman villas and modest homes. These weren't grand public displays, but simple basins where water perpetually flowed from a single spout, creating a soft, constant drip or a gentle, bubbling murmur. The water for these fountains, you surmised, was often diverted from the same aqueduct systems, carrying the same imbued tranquility. The sound of these private fountains, contained within the walls of a home, created pockets of intense calm, nurturing a serene atmosphere for families. You would pause outside an open doorway, catching the faint sound of a domestic fountain, and feel a wave of intimate peace wash over you, a quiet echo of countless restful moments spent within those walls. You also began to discern the role of Roman gardens. Beyond their aesthetic beauty and practical uses, you sensed a deeper purpose. The meticulous arrangement of fragrant herbs, lavender, rosemary, time was not merely for scent or cooking, but for their subtle, soothing emanations. The quiet rustle of olive trees in a gentle breeze, the visual harmony of geometric beds, the gentle buzzing of bees amongst wildflowers, all contributed to a profound sense of ordered tranquility. These gardens, whether sprawling public parks or small, private oases, acted as natural reservoirs of calm, places where the busy mind could effortlessly unwind. You spent an afternoon in the gardens of Salas, not observing the statuary, but allowing the subtle energies of the plants and the gentle breeze to wash over you, feeling the ambient peace gather and deepen within the manicured space. The very air felt lighter, softer, infused with a botanical serenity. Your exploration of the artisan quarter of Trastevere continued, allowing you to delve deeper into the quiet craft of individuals like Silas and River. You sought out other workshops. Drawn by the subtle energetic signatures you were now adept at sensing, you found a weaver, a quiet woman named Alara, whose hands moved with rhythmic precision across the loom, the shuttle clicking softly back and forth. Her studio, filled with the earthy scent of raw wool and the subtle aroma of natural dyes, vibrated with a gentle, repetitive energy. As her intricate patterns emerged, you realized her weaving wasn't just about creating cloth. It was about imbuing each thread with the steady, focused calm of her labor. The very fabric, once completed, held this quiet essence, carrying it into the homes it would eventually adorn, subtly contributing to the domestic tranquility of the wearers. You observed a baker, a burly man named Gaius, whose movements were surprisingly gentle as he kneaded dough. The warmth of his ovens, the comforting scent of baking bread, and the rhythmic thud of dough on wood created an atmosphere of profound security and contentment. You felt the silent blessings woven into each loaf, the simple, nourishing joy of creation. Even the repetitive tasks of daily life, the grinding of grain, the mending of nets, the sweeping of floors, when performed with a quiet, focused intention, seemed to generate and release small, continuous waves of peace into the ethereum. It was a revelation. The mundane, when approached with a certain mindful presence, became a subtle ritual, a tiny yet potent contribution to the collective calm. The Roman street itself, once a cacophony, now unfolded before you as a symphony of subtle sounds. The distant clatter of hooves on cobblestones, softened by distance, became a rhythmic pulse. The hushed greetings between citizens, the occasional burst of children's laughter, the murmur of conversations from open taverns, all blended into a continuous, soothing hum. You noticed the strategic placement of public fountains, not just for water, but as sonic anchor points, their constant gurgle or splash providing a steady, gentle counterpoint to the city's rhythms. The very design of the Roman streets, with their intricate paving and gradual inclines, seemed to guide the flow of this ambient calm, allowing it to permeate every alleyway and open piazza. You began to understand that the architects and urban planners of Rome, perhaps unknowingly, had engineered the city itself as a vast open-air conduit for the ethereum. The wide, open spaces of the forums, the precise alignment of the grand avenues, the carefully considered placement of public buildings, all seemed to facilitate the gathering and diffusion of tranquil energies. The very stones, hewn from the earth and shaped by human hands, retained a memory of stillness, becoming silent participants in the city's pervasive calm. It was a profound thought. The physical manifestation of the empire was not just a testament to human ingenuity, but a living, breathing expression of a collective desire for peace. Your quiet pilgrimage led you to the Temple of Vesta, a circular structure distinct from the grand rectangular temples you had seen elsewhere. Here, no grand sacrifices were offered, no boisterous rituals performed. Instead, a perpetual flame burned, tended by the Vestal virgins, women renowned for their serene dedication. As you approached, you felt an intense stillness emanating from within its sacred walls. The air was cool, imbued with the faint, clean scent of burning olive oil and a subtle, unidentifiable floral note. You peered through the doorway, seeing a Vestal tending the flame, her movements slow and deliberate, a profound sense of inner peace radiating from her. You realized the flame was not just symbolic. It was a physical manifestation of Rome's enduring tranquility, a focal point for the city's collected calm. The Vestals, through their quiet, unbroken vigil, acted as living conduits, anchoring this profound peace within the heart of the city, ensuring its constant emanation. It was a place of deep, almost primordial quiet, a gentle heartbeat for the ethereum within the urban sprawl. As days turned into weeks, your understanding deepened, became more granular. You observed the gentle rhythm of daily Roman life, the leisurely pace of the morning bath, the quiet intensity of a scribe at work, the shared stillness of a family meal. Each activity, when stripped of its superficial purpose, revealed itself as a subtle contribution to the collective unconscious. The sheer volume of these quiet, mindful moments, multiplied by millions across the empire, created an unstoppable current of profound tranquility. You also began to discern the more elusive, ephemeral manifestations of the ethereum. You found yourself drawn to the quiet corners of the city at dawn, before the full bustle began. The soft, diffuse light that filtered through the morning mist seemed to carry faint, lingering echoes of the city's nocturnal dreams. The cool, crisp air, unmarred by the heat of the day, felt charged with a quiet energy, a profound sense of potentiality and rest. The first chirps of birds, the distant crow of a rooster, the gentle rustle of leaves in a deserted street, these were the initial, delicate notes of Rome's waking symphony of peace. At dusk, too, the ethereum presented itself in a different light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of soft orange and deep violet, the city seemed to exhale. The clamor of the day softened, yielding to the gentle murmur of evening. The glow of oil lamps from windows, the quiet strains of a lyre from a distant insula, the rhythmic closing of shop shutters, these sounds contributed to a deepening sense of calm, preparing the city for its collective descent into sleep. The air, imbued with the scents of night-blooming jasmine and the earthy dampness of cooling stone, became a balm for the senses, guiding weary minds towards rest. You started to experiment subtly with your own senses, seeking to merge more fully with these pervasive currents. In the privacy of your quiet lodgings, you would sit in silent meditation, allowing your consciousness to expand beyond your physical form, to feel the gentle pulses of the ethereum flowing around you, through the walls, through the very. Felt a faint warmth emanating from the unrolled scroll, a gentle hum that resonated with a deep, internal sigh. You reached out, your nimble fingers hovering over the ancient surface. A subtle, almost imperceptible wave of drowsiness washed over you, not an oppressive fatigue, but a profound, inviting calm. It was as if the scroll was breathing, exhaling millennia of accumulated serenity. These scrolls, Emberlyn explained, her gaze piercing, are the memory banks of the ethereum. They allow us to study its evolution, to understand the subtle shifts in its collective consciousness, but more importantly, they are vital to its maintenance. In times of unrest, or when the city's inherent peace wanes, these scrolls can be activated, gently releasing their stored tranquility into the ethereum, a silent balm for the collective mind. She demonstrated, placing a small, smooth moonstone, glowing faintly onto the surface of the scroll. A ripple of energy visibly emanated from the parchment, spreading through the quiet index, deepening the sense of peace in the air. The moonstone acts as a focus, drawing out the stored essence. It is a quiet ritual performed by the archivist, a guardian of untold secrets and forgotten dreams. You spent days within the Alexandrian archive complex, lost in its hushed embrace. Under Emberlyn's guidance, you delved deeper into the dream scrolls. You learn that some scrolls contain the quiet shared dreams of an entire legion on a peaceful night. Watch others. The serene contentment of families gathered for a simple meal, and still others the profound stillness of philosophers in deep contemplation. Each scroll was a window into a specific facet of Roman tranquility, a historical record not of events, but of emotions, of the quiet heartbeat of a civilization. The sheer volume of these scrolls was staggering, a testament to the dedication of generations of archivists. You understood now that the maintenance of the Ethereum was not left to chance. It was an active, continuous process, subtly overseen by dedicated individuals like Emberlin, who understood its fragility and its immense importance. The constant upkeep of the aqueducts, the meticulous care of public gardens, the subtle design of urban spaces, these were not just civic duties, but conscious or unconscious acts of magical maintenance, perpetuating the flow of calm. You learned about the Silent Guardians, a clandestine lineage of scholars and artists, their identities often hidden within mundane professions, who for centuries had ensured the continuity of the Ethereum. They were the ones who advised architects on the placement of fountains, taught potters like River Thorn the Ancient sleep-inducing incantations for their clay, and guided artisans like Silas Nocturne in the crafting of talismans imbued with peaceful energies. They were not a powerful, visible organization, but a quiet, pervasive influence. Their knowledge passed down through whispered words and subtle mentorship. Their power, Emberlin explained one afternoon, her voice barely a whisper, lay not in grand declarations, but in subtle inflections. They understood that the most profound enchantments are those woven into the fabric of daily life, absorbed unconsciously, felt rather than seen. You began to revisit your previous observations with this new historical lens. The rhythmic thud of Gaius the baker's kneading, the steady click of Alara, the weaver's loom, the constant murmur of private fountains. These were not merely everyday sounds, but ancient rhythms consciously or unconsciously perpetuated, designed to reinforce the Ethereum. The Roman emphasis on order, on rhythm, on the quiet dignity of labor was not merely a cultural trait, but a deep-seated, intuitive understanding of the conditions under which profound tranquility could flourish. The Reverie Colosseum, you now understood, was not just a marvel of engineering, but a monumental ritual. It had been reconsecrated centuries ago, its bloody past cleansed by a grand, collective rite of purification. Its massive arches and concentric tiers were redesigned to subtly collect and amplify the collective dream echoes of past generations, particularly those of the Silent Guardians and the earliest cultivators of peace. The soothing sighs it emitted at dusk were not just residual echoes, but a deliberate, amplified emanation, broadcast across the eternal city as a profound, sleep-inducing tranquility. It was a testament to the Roman genius for adapting and transforming existing structures for a higher, more subtle purpose. This revelation felt like the final piece of a complex mosaic. The Roman Empire's vastness, its inherent order, and the quiet rhythms of its daily life were not merely sustained by unseen forces and forgotten enchantments. They were, in a very real sense, born from them. The Ethereum was not an accidental byproduct of a peaceful society. It was the deliberate, quiet foundation upon which that society was built and continuously maintained. It was a pervasive, subtle magic system, meticulously designed and perpetuated across generations, ensuring an enduring, profound state of collective calm. You spent your final days in Alexandria in deep contemplation, absorbing this profound truth. You walked the hushed corridors of the archive, feeling the weight of centuries of tranquility contained within its scrolls. You sat in quiet courtyards, listening to the gentle gurgle of fountains, now understanding their true purpose. The world around you felt more vibrant, yet simultaneously more serene, as if a veil had been lifted, revealing the underlying currents of peace that had always been there, just beyond common perception. As your time in Alexandria drew to a close, you felt a quiet sense of completion, a deep satisfaction. The elusive whispers of the Ethereum had become a clear, resonant song. You had journeyed through the subtle magic that underpinned Roman life from its present, manifestations to its ancient origins, understanding how it was born from natural resonance, cultivated by perceptive minds and meticulously maintained through conscious design and unconscious rhythm. The answers you sought were not dramatic or earth-shattering in the conventional sense. They were, instead, profoundly simple, woven into the quiet fabric of existence, like a breath you barely noticed, yet utterly depended upon. The grandeur of Rome, you now knew, was not just in its stone and steel, but in the unseen, pervasive tapestry of peace that held it all together. As you prepared for your return journey, a profound sense of quietude settled deep within you. The questions of origin and maintenance had been answered, not with a flourish, but with the gentle, persistent unfolding of truth. The journey had been one of gentle discovery, a pilgrimage through the subtle magic that underpinned Roman life. And as you closed your eyes, the echoes of this ancient, sleep-infused world, now understood in their quiet totality, began to envelop you, a gentle, unending lullaby for the soul. If you found peace in this journey through ancient Rome, consider giving this a like or subscribing for more quiet explorations. Ground beneath your feet, you learn to discern the distinct flavor of tranquility emanating from different sources. The deep ancient peace of the aqueducts, the warm communal calm of the baths, the focused mindful stillness of the artisans, the tender intimate quiet of the domestic sphere. Each was a unique note in the grand symphony of the empire's collective unconscious. This deepened connection brought with it an almost visceral sense of the Roman Empire's true nature. It was not merely a political entity, a sprawling network of conquered lands and imposed laws. It was, at its core, a monumental exercise in collective serenity, a vast, complex organism whose very order and enduring stability were fundamentally sustained by this profound underlying peace. The legions guarded its borders, the laws governed its citizens, but the Ethereum nurtured its soul. It was a subtle, pervasive magic system forgotten by most, yet constantly at work. A quiet enchantment designed to propagate and maintain an enduring state of collective calm. The implication of this realization was staggering. Could such a vast civilization truly be held together not by fear or force, but by an unspoken, unseen tapestry of peace? You believed with every fiber of your being that it could. Your journey had taken you from the academic pursuit of an elusive concept to the profound, tangible experience of a civilization shaped by an active, pervasive calm. You had seen the mechanisms, felt the currents, understood the intentions, both conscious and unconscious, that maintained this extraordinary state. Yet, as profound as this revelation was, a new set of questions began to emerge from the quiet depths of your mind. If the system of calm was so integral, so pervasive, then who were its original architects? Was this a deliberate design from some ancient, enlightened lineage, or had it evolved organically over millennia, a collective aspiration that manifested in the very fabric of the world? And how was this intricate, subtle magic maintained across generations, ensuring its continuous flow, even as the empire expanded and changed? The secrets of the Ethereum, you realized, extended not just into its present manifestation, but deep into its past, beckoning you further into the quiet mysteries of this ancient world. The secrets of the Ethereum, you realized, extended not just into its present manifestation, but deep into its past, beckoning you further into the quiet mysteries of this ancient world. Your time in Rome had been a revelation, a gentle unfolding of a profound truth. But the questions of origin and perpetuation pulsed within you, drawing your gaze beyond the eternal city's familiar stones. The Alexandrian Archive Complex, a nexus where consciousness and ancient insights converged, became your next quiet destination. The journey to Alexandria was a study in gentle transition. You chose passage on a merchant vessel, its sails billowing like soft clouds against the deep azure of the Mediterranean. The rhythmic creak of the timbers, the vast, unbroken expanse of the sea, and the constant, lulling whisper of the wind through the rigging created an atmosphere of profound detachment from the terrestrial world. Days blurred into a seamless continuum of quiet observation. You spent hours leaning over the railing, watching the shimmering surface of the water, feeling the subtle sway of the ship, a gentle rocking that echoed the cradling sensation of the Ethereum. The distant calls of seabirds, the faint scent of salt and sun-warmed wood, all contributed to a deep, unhurried peace. The ship itself, carrying its cargo and its human souls, felt like a small, self-contained universe of quietude, propelled by an unseen current of collective calm. Upon arrival in Alexandria, the transition from the bustling port to the grand stillness of the archive was a balm. The city hummed with a different kind of energy than Rome, a more scholarless, martial thrum. After navigating the initial clamor of the docks, you found your way through wide-ordered streets, lined with columned porticos and elegant facades. The air here was subtly different too, carrying the faint, dry scent of ancient papyrus and something akin to ozone, as if the very air itself was charged with accumulated knowledge. The Alexandrian Archive complex loomed before you, a sprawling and labyrinthine edifice of knowledge, its towering shelves hinted at through colossal bronze-clad doors. The muted, ethereal light that filtered through intricate high windows, bathing vast reading halls in a soft glow, was immediately evident even from the exterior. As you stepped inside, the subtle hum you had sensed from afar grew more palpable. It was a low, resonant vibration, a collective murmur of countless thoughts, dreams, and memories preserved within its walls. The air was redolent with the unique sense of aged papyrus, dried herbs, and sacred beeswax, a fragrance both calming and invigorating to the intellectually curious mind. This was a place, you knew, where the Ethereum truly converged, its historical currents channeled and preserved. You sought out Emberlyn Stone, the ancient archivist. You found her not in a grand public hall, but in a secluded, quiet annex, accessible only through a winding series of dimly lit corridors. The soft glow of a single oil lamp illuminated her workspace, casting long, dancing shadows among meticulously organized scrolls. Emberlyn, 87 years of age, her posture frail but elegant, greeted you with a serene countenance. Her wispy silver hair was tied in a simple, practical bun, and her hands, gnarled by age, moved with surprising grace and precision as she carefully unrolled a fragile document. Her eyes, a surprisingly clear and piercing blue, held the depth of countless centuries. She was indeed, as described, incredibly wise and patient, and when she spoke, it was with a soft, melodic voice, rich with ancient knowledge and unseen histories. "Welcome, August," she murmured, her voice like the rustle of ancient leaves. "I sensed your coming, a ripple in the currents of inquiry. You seek the origins of the Ethereum, do you not? The threads that first wove this tapestry of peace?" You nodded, a quiet affirmation. "I have witnessed its present manifestation, the profound calm it imparts. But the how and the why of its inception and its enduring presence remain elusive." Emberlyn offered a faint, knowing smile, a slow unfolding of understanding. The Ethereum, in its deepest sense, is not a creation, but a discovery, a resonance. Imagine, if you will, the earth itself breathing. From the very beginning, certain places, certain convergences of natural energy have held a deeper stillness. These were the well springs, the primordial nodes of what you now perceive as tranquility. She paused, her gaze drifting towards a towering wall of scrolls. The earliest inhabitants of this land, and indeed of lands far beyond Rome's reach, were more attuned to these subtle energies. They did not create the peace. They cultivated it. They built their homes, their temples, their settlements in places where this natural calm was strongest, recognizing its profound effect on well-being and social harmony. She then turned her attention to a particularly ancient, heavy scroll, its parchment a deep, almost golden hue. But the deliberate shaping, the amplification of this natural phenomenon into a pervasive system, that is where our Roman ancestors demonstrated a genius unlike any other. It began not as a single grand design, but as a series of intuitive adaptations refined over generations. Emberlin explained that the first true architects of the Ethereum in its Roman form were not engineers or generals, but a succession of forgotten scholars, mystics, and even certain lines of highly perceptive artisans. These individuals, through quiet observation and profound contemplation, discerned the principles by which natural tranquility could be harnessed and disseminated. They understood the subtle power of sound, the specific resonance of certain materials, the calming effect of ordered forms, and the inherent peace within rhythmic, repetitive labor. Consider the aqueducts, Emberlin continued, her voice gaining a quiet intensity. You observe their role, their capacity to carry tranquility. But the choice of springs, the very path they were laid, that was not merely about water flow. It was about energy flow. The engineers, guided by these early insights, consciously sought out springs known for their profound stillness, places often consecrated to nymphs or quiet deities. The gradients, the subtle curves, were designed not just for hydraulic efficiency, but to maintain the inherent harmonic resonance of the water, preventing its dissipation. It was an art, a science, and a subtle enchantment all woven into monumental stone. She then unrolled another scroll, its edges crumbling slightly with age. These are some of the earliest dream scrolls of Alexandria, Emberlin said, her voice hushed. Not scrolls of parchment and ink as you understand them, but literal conduits. They were crafted by a secret lineage of scribes and seers who discovered how to imbue specially prepared papyrus with the essence of collective dreams and tranquil states. They learned to capture the echoes of profound rest, the quiet contentment of an empire in slumber, and store them here. As Emberlin spoke, you